West Somerset Railway TV here. This piece of video, converted from film taken by Nick Tozer, captures a really important moment in the history of the present West Somerset Railway. The railway opened in 1976 with a couple of Bagnall locomotives and a Great Western small pannier 6412. It moved up a gear in the early 80s when Collick Goods 3205 came to live on the line, and a small prairie was borrowed from the Great Western Society at Tidcot. But the arrival of the Evening Star, loaned by the National Railway Museum for a couple of seasons, was a real step change and showed what big locomotives could do over the exciting gradients that the line offered, and paved the way for the restoration of Somerset and Dorset Joint 280, 53808 and larger visiting locomotives in the future. The video is also something of a time capsule, looking back as we are from 2020 back 31 years to 1989. I'm sure you'll spot a few features, but here's a few from the early Minehead scenes that we see. Firstly, there's the primitive watering arrangements for locomotives at Minehead Loco, including a fire hose across from the station. Then there's the platform end water tower and the alteration of the point work which has occurred at the Taunton end of Minehead. You'll see the locomotive runs forward and then back onto its train. Points are completely different now. You'll also notice the rather rough platform surface that there was at the time before the investment by groups like the Friends of Minehead Station had enabled Minehead to look very much more presentable as it does today. Do enjoy the video. The next scenes are at Watchet. A couple of things to look out for there. The very simple coach painting scheme adopted at the time. Great Western chocolate and cream, but with an orange tape line dividing the two. And you'll also see the Whitbread buffet. Two different buffet cars were sponsored by different breweries. There was the Whitbread buffet and there was also the Taunton cider buffet. Very welcome sponsorship at a time when the railway's resources were greatly limited. The next scenes are at Williton. Things to look out for are the short loop at the Taunton end, curving quickly away from the up platform, the signal which can be seen standing between the two lines between the platforms, which these days has been reduced to a short shunt signal, and when we turn towards Minehead, the absence of either a footbridge or the Swindon shed used by the restorations operation. Feature that was there then, of course, is a water tower at the Taunton end, long since gone. Rude, I think, on occasion by enginemen who haven't managed their water correctly by the time they get to Williton. Next we see some scenes at Crowcombe station. Obvious by its absence these days is the siding, which we see on the right hand side, leading from the dock into what is now the up platform. On the dock also you can see the wooden top has arrived from Ebervale siding signal box, which is going to become the top of the present Crowcombe signal box. And a blink or you'll miss it feature. If you look at the way out sign hanging from the station building, they didn't have a Y for way out, and so that was created from a V that had a judicious angle grinder applied to it to make it look more like a Y than a V. But its V nature, I think, is obvious when you have a closer look. Be sure not to miss that. And now we're going to arrive at Bishop's Lydeard. Notice first the stop board by the locomotive. There was no signalling at Bishop's Lydeard at the time. It was the end of a one train working section all the way from Williton, and of course no signalling at Crowcombe at the time as well. If you see, the box steps are blocked to stop people wandering up the steps. The geometry of the point beyond the locomotive is interesting as it heads into the siding. The geometry was right for the run round, but a bit wrong for the siding, and you can see there's a bit of a dog leg. And of course the other feature that's not there in 1989 is the second half of the platform south, and we'll see the effect of that when we look at the other end of the station.
Oh, that sound of the big spot being.
Good one not to miss, then, isn't it? The legends here is these are the 45 very nicely.
It's got to chase him.
It's got to go beyond this train to get down the end of it. Oh, you can get one of the two and go past.
Now the engine is gingerly making its way towards the Minehead end of the down platform. The fireman is going to have to hop off and walk forward to use the staff to unlock the ground frame and allow the locomotive to get across onto the back of its train. The effect of the short platform means that the back of the train is hanging out of the platform and will start slightly round the curve, and that's what prompted the West Somerset Railway Association to fund the extension southwards of the platform to its present day length. Next, we see some scenes at Blue Anchor. A feature which has long since disappeared is if you look out beyond the camping coaches towards Minehead, you'll catch a glimpse of the extra starting signal, number 4 signal, that was removed when token working was introduced between Minehead and Blue Anchor. If you've enjoyed these video clips from Nick Tozer, do have a look at his website. He runs an excellent second-hand railway bookshop based in Huddersfield in Yorkshire, but we do see him in Somerset from time to time. Thanks, Nick.